My name is Jean Marie Herron. I'm a certified professional organizer and the business development manager for the Junk Luggers. My mission is to improve the quality of people's lives through the decluttering of their homes and offices in an eco-friendly and non-judgmental way. If you'd like to see more of these videos, simply click the subscribe button. Welcome, everybody. I can't see a lot of faces because I have the PowerPoint up. So welcome to this month's Lunch and Learn. So this month we have financial organization doesn't have to be scary. And I have a guest speaker today, and her name is Tracy Byrnes. She's in a little picture off on the right. We're going to go from 12:30 to 1. My name is Jean Marie Herron, for those of you who don't know me, and I'm the business development manager for the Junk Luggers, and I'm also a certified professional organizer. So I wear a couple of hats. I just do organizing on the weekend, and I'm with Junk Luggers during the week. And this is our monthly call together. So a couple things before we get started, housekeeping and agenda. You all got the little message that we're recording. I'm going to ask everybody to please stay muted until the Q&A section. So we're going to give Tracy an opportunity to do her presentation. You can put your questions in the chat box, and Deborah, my assistant, will keep track of those. So you already know today's going to be about financial organizing. If you joined us a little early, you heard some really fun questions. And next month, we're going to do secure your passwords for holiday shopping and beyond with LastPass. And Deborah, who is actually a tech expert, is going to run that particular presentation because I have a scheduling conflict, which almost never happens, but I do. So after the presentation, we'll open it up to Q&A, and then we will close and you will be on your way. So here we go. So I'm going to introduce Tracy. Tracy is a financial organizer. See, I'm already calling you an organizer.
That's okay. I should change my title. I like it.
So go ahead, Tracy, and tell us who you are and what you do so I don't mess it up. Because I actually do know.
Oh, it's fine. It's confusing. So I'm a financial advisor with UBS. I'm a certified divorce financial analyst as well, because I have a very soft spot for people going through divorce. As I am, I've been divorced for 16 years. I got into this business because I met so many rock stars, people with money, that would say, I don't know what to do. I'm doing nothing. So I'm just going to keep it under the mattress. And that's crazy to me. I think that the industry has created inside baseball jargon that's just unnecessary. And I think that we presume we need a big basis of knowledge before we even get involved in our finances. And that too is crazy. So I'm hoping to dispel all that today.
Excellent. So you just let me know when you want me to change a slide.
Okay. So I love this as the opening because, so we're going to go through 5 different things today, super high level. And I promise you, these are the only numbers I think that we're going to mention in the entire presentation today, because financial empowerment is not about knowing where Microsoft closed or what Tesla's earnings report is tonight. There's a lot of people out there that care a lot about that. The majority of us do not need to know that. What we need to know is women in particular, and I do see that there's men on the screen, so I don't want to discount, but women currently control $10 trillion in household financial assets. That amount is set to double, potentially triple in the next 10 years. That's because of death, divorce, inheritance. It's also because a lot of women just chose not to have kids and families. And God bless them, they end up with way more money than those of us that have kids. Because Deb, I know, Jean Marie, you can attest, they're bloodsuckers sometimes. So you have these women that are coming into all this money, and money is power. Any way you like it, it is power. And power means we can change the world. It doesn't mean you have to become the next, crazy Russian leader. It means you have to know what you have so that the things that mean the most to you, you can put your dollars towards, or you can put your energy behind and change the world, whether it's politics. I always say I have a soft spot for the oceans. Can't stand it when I see a bottle floating in the oceans. What is your thing? When you know what you have, you can actually put that money towards the things that matter. And I think that's financial empowerment all day long.
Awesome.
I think that's perfect segue to our next slide. In that, like I said earlier, you don't need to understand what the S&P 500 is. I mean, I will tell you, it is not shockingly 500 stocks in in a basket that we use as a barometer to see where the world is on a day-to-day basis. But no one's ever going to quiz you and say, what are those 500 stocks? You don't need to know whether the market's up or down. That's not financial empowerment. Financial empowerment is knowing, like just before we came on, we were talking about your passwords. Usernames and passwords. I actually might come to this next one, Jean Marie, because my passwords probably need to be updated, are all over the place, are probably not safe. But if you share a household with someone and they do the finances, quote unquote, do you know the usernames and passwords? Do you even know what accounts you have? That's the empowerment part. Just know it. Do you have life insurance? Do you have 529 plans for the kids? What do you know? And if your answer is nothing, that's totally cool. Just start somewhere. Everyone can start somewhere. And one day at a time, one little thing at a time, you feel more and more empowered. I think we go through different stages in life too, where you want to know what's going on. If God forbid there is a divorce, you don't want to be blindsided and say, when your attorney says to you, well, what do you have? You don't want to sit there and say, I have no idea. Right?
Can I interject on this a second?
Yes, absolutely.
So later you'll see a slide. We're actually going to be having our presentation next month on passwords, but I'm going to wear my organizer hat for a second here. It doesn't matter what system you use, whether it's a system like LastPass on your computer or your phone, or an old-fashioned address book, A to Z, whatever works for you, but you need to pick one system, one place. That's just my 2 cents. And always know that you can go there for your username and passwords, and take some time, like block some time on your calendar. I used to say that the best Valentine's date in the whole world was getting together with your loved ones, whether it's spouse, children, etc., and sitting down and putting together a password system that works for you, so that God forbid anybody else gets hit by a bus, everybody knows, trusted individuals, where things are, even down to including, the phone password. I have an iPhone, you got to put in that little, password or code to, your laptop. It's really sitting down, spending time at least once a year with everybody and getting everything documented and recorded. Thank you.
No, and please continue to interject, but you make such a great point, because it's not just you, your partner, it's your kids. I mean, my kids change the passcode on their phone like every third day, like they're hiding nuclear secrets. Like, what are we hiding in this phone that you got to keep changing this password? My parents, I finally said to them, and I've told this story before, my parents are from Sicily. We don't talk about money, politics, or religion, right? We don't talk about any of that stuff. Meanwhile, I know nothing. I said, you guys could, they're on a road trip to Vermont. I said, you could get lost in the woods and I have no idea how to access your stuff. So that generation is almost just as important as knowing what goes on in your own household. Because if indeed you are part of this sandwich generation, which many of us are, and you are responsible for someone above you, not knowing how to access their stuff, and take it from me now, and as someone who works for a big bank, compliance is stupid complicated. Like, spouses can't get into other spouses' account if they're not listed. Like, that's literally how bad it is these days. It's very difficult. So make sure you know these things, because you'll get boxed right out. Your parents have a checking account. If someone else's name is not on it, it could take months before you get that money.
Right. So I'm going to add one more thing and then I'll change the slide. So my mother, who's in her late 70s, is very handicapped. Nobody look her up now that I'm saying this, on a call. And she does everything online, and she changes things all the time. So I've asked her, and she's a little old school, so I've asked her to do something a certain way. And I know where she keeps everything, so that God forbid something happens to her, because I know that when she does pass, I'm going to end up settling all her financials. And so that's, but we talk about it. She hates talking about it, but we talk about it anyway. So just make sure you talk to your loved ones, older, younger, and whoever you share your financial life with, and pick one system.
It's great point. So I love this because I think, and again, I'm speaking in generalities, but women tend to be much more conservative than men. A man will go to a bar and get a stock tip and go call his advisor or broker the next day and say, put money on whatever, much like Vegas. Women will think about it and then, well, little Johnny needs shoes and I'm not really sure I should invest. And the next thing you know, they're in cash for years. Nowadays, if you have your money in cash, you are losing money by the second because inflation is ridiculous, right? So if you're not keeping up with inflation, you're just losing money by doing nothing. This is very important, and I think people miss this sometimes. They think that their money's safe. It is. All day long, it's safe. But you're losing purchasing power by the minute, right? If a loaf of bread is 8% more this year than it is last year, which it is, because I've been there. I complain about the cost of eggs all the time. I feel like such a baby about it. But we eat so many eggs when my kids are all home. Eggs are so dang expensive. That's supposed to be the cheap meal, eggs and toast. It's not, right? So if your money's not keeping up out there, and granted, I know you're not going to go out and get 6%, or whatever inflation is hovering at these days, but you could make your money. You got to think of your money as your side hustle, as your side gig, as the job that you want to work on when you're home at night. There are short-term products out there that you can get 3-4%, way better than nothing, way better. And there's short-term periods of time, I've said many times that CDs used to be the thing that your grandfather bought at the local bank. Nowadays, CDs are paying upwards of 4% over a year. That's great money just to do nothing and to wait out this nonsense, because no one, and if anyone tells you they know, they have no idea when this craziness is going to end. Could be a year, could be 6 months, could be longer, who the heck knows. If you're not willing to take Dramamine every day when you watch the stock market, then you better put it in things that are safe and try to eke out a little bit of interest rate so that you can keep up with that dang dozen eggs, because they feel like they get more and more expensive every time I go to the store.
And on a side note, all my life, and I admit this in full transparency, I've never actually been interested in money. And now that I'm on the second half of life, all of a sudden it's a little bit more important to me. And I've always felt that I really don't know anything about the stock market, about investments. So one of the things I did was I joined an investment club, and it's really easy to do. It's very, very educational, and it really helped me. I was in one for several years, and I learned that, it isn't so complicated, but I thought it was this really big, complicated thing, and it's not. And when I was in the investment club, there were a couple of magazines that we all shared, an article here, an article there. And we had to do, every once in a while, I had to do a presentation, a stock presentation. And if you had told me 20 years ago that, when I was 40, I'd be doing a stock presentation to my, investment club, I would have really laughed at you. But so if you have any of those kinds of feelings, go ahead and see what's out there to get yourself started, bit by bit, little bit.
We should start one. I think that's a great idea. There used to be like a ton of investment clubs at one point, then they went away, probably when the market crashed, and we should start one again. I think that's a really cool idea, because and you can pop to the next slide, because you should invest in what you know. Like, watching CNBC is a fool's game someday. Those guys are traders, and half of them go on TV to pitch their own holdings, right? As a random example, if they own Tesla and Tesla's earnings are coming out tonight, I'm going to go on all day long and tell you that you should buy Tesla. We need to get the price of Tesla up. Like, everyone has a motive, And I'm Sicilian, so I'm skeptical of anything everybody says, but always think beyond that. So block that stuff out. I had a crazy thought one time that I was going to come up with this stock portfolio called the laundry list, because one day I was sitting on the floor of my laundry room trying to bleach out the dang grass stains in my son's uniform. And I'm looking around, I'm like, why don't I own Clorox? I have more bleach, right? Why don't I own Under Armour? There's more Nike cleats in this house. Why don't I own these things? Whirlpool is, God bless my Whirlpool washing machine. That's all right? You know enough. You use these products. Amazon comes to my door every day. It's not going anywhere. it's not rocket science. If it were rocket science, financial advisors would not be a dime a dozen. There's a ton of me out there. there's a reason for it. It's not rocket science. They just want you to think it is.
What a great point. I know Joan is on the call too, and we'll open up in a few minutes for Q&A, but Joan is the executive director of the Ridgewood Chamber of Commerce, and she was telling us at a recent meeting that Tide, the cleaner Tide, has recently opened up cleaners in banks that used to be drive-through banks, and they're now a franchise in terms of wash and fold as well as regular dry cleaning. So I think you're absolutely right. I think when we're just noticing in our everyday world not only what we're using, but what we might like to use, I think that's a fantastic point. And I'm going to hold you to starting an investment
club. Good.
Yeah.
I hope you do, because I think it's a great idea. And Joan, I've been to a Tide Cleaners in Florida, and they're amazing. So she's not wrong. But look around you, right? I mean, I have every Apple product in my house. We're an Apple house. Apple's not going anywhere. So it's not, you don't need to go through financial statements and figure out how much long-term debt they have. It's not that don't take it so seriously. But the really cool part now is post-COVID. One of the things we learned at the firm, we do a ton of research on women in particular and how they're feeling, is we've learned that post-COVID, women in particular really do want to understand their finances because they want to be able to take care of their families, God forbid something happens. They really do. They really have amped up their philanthropic donations because I don't want to discriminate, but women tend to be more philanthropic. But more now than ever, women want to invest with their morals and beliefs. So women do not want to invest with companies that are rotten to their employees. Women do not want to invest with companies that are killing the ocean. We've made it very clear, not to mention we have so much purchasing power, we control what we buy. So companies now more than ever are listening to us. And you should invest in your morals and beliefs. If someone comes to you and says, you really should own Exxon, and you're like, you know what, I don't believe in that. No, then don't. Put your foot down and defend your stuff. You can make money anywhere. Don't let anyone tell you, you need to be in this space to make money. That's not true. It is absolutely 100% not true. And so with that, I think that leads us to our last slide too. Know your enough. And enough means a lot of things to me. First of all, I think we as women do not dream big enough. Dream. What do you want to do? Where do you want to be in retirement? And then create a life to get you there. I've used this analogy before. Tom Brady supposedly envisions throwing that touchdown pass before the ball even leaves his hand. He sees it. He sees it happening. Where do you see yourself? And this is why I truly believe in a financial plan. I think everyone should have one, because if you came to me and you said, this is what I want to do in 20 years. This is where I am now. My job is to help you figure out how to get there. It's just connecting dots, but you got to know the dot. So what do you want? What are your dreams? And sometimes I do think, especially wealthy people that have a lot of money, they don't know when to stop. I know a ton of people that have all these houses and stuff, and they feel like they're on this treadmill of life. They have to keep working in order to pay for all of it. Right? That's not healthy either. So there's a happy medium in there, because money can create so much stress. It just does. I mean, if you don't have enough of it, if you have too much of it, no matter what, it is the number one reason people get divorced. It is the number one reason people have heart attacks. Like, it is across the board stressful. Don't let it be stressful. Let it empower you. Let it, like we said from the beginning, allow you to do things to make the world better, to make your life better, your kids' lives better. I have a friend. He was a big WWE wrestler, like this huge dude. And every time I saw him, he would say to me, what are you doing to make the world a better place today? What are you doing to make the world better? And by world, it could mean your world. It could mean someone else's world. But money allows us to do really great things. Don't be scared of it. Take the opportunity to understand it so that you can then pass on this goodwill and all this great stuff and make a better life for you and your family. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. It's not about being like the guy who knows how to pick the best stocks. It's about knowing how to take care of the people we love.
Awesome. Awesome. So we're just about done with the official presentation, the PowerPoint. We just have a couple more slides to go, and then we're going to open out to Q&A. I wanted to tell everybody on the call that next month on November 16th, our presentation is Secure Your Passwords for Holiday Shopping and Beyond with LastPass. So LastPass is a program that Deborah, who is a tech expert, is going to be presenting next month. These are all the ways to register. You can register on possepartnersllc.com/speaking. I just have to change the banner on the Junkluggers of Northern New Jersey.com. You'll get the information in the follow-up email to this presentation as well. And of course, it'll be out there on social media. And if you're on my monthly newsletter, everybody should probably know how to reach me, but can put the information in the chat box as well. But this is who I am. I don't bite. I answer lots and lots of questions. So if you want to give me a call or an email about any topic, please feel free. Also, if you need any decluttering, discarding, donating, recycling, or junk removal, give me a holler as well. And then this is Tracy. So she's been our guest speaker. A wealth of information, pun intended. At first I was going to say no pun intended, but then I'm like, oh, I like that pun. So this is her information, and Deb is also going to put all of Tracy's information in the chat box as well. And we are going to stop sharing and go to Q&A. So here we come out to our Brady Bunch. So if anybody would like to unmute themselves and ask a question, now is the time to do it.
I have a question. Hi, Jean. How are you?
Hi, Sabrina. How are you?
Great. This is excellent, by the way. Thank you, Tracy.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Jean. So my question is this. I feel like I have a decent handle on the finances, but I feel like we're missing a professional in our structure. So, we have, for example, and I'll keep this short, have some investments with Edward Jones, some in insurance and some in various buckets. But I feel like I don't have a quarterback, if you will, that doesn't just work for a company that they're going to recommend their own products, that actually has a big picture overview of, wow, you have so much in insurance, but why don't you're missing this piece or that piece. So how do I find that person? I think the term is fiduciary, right?
Yeah, so it's a great question, and you should ask. Like, I don't know Edward Jones' platform, but I know we have an open platform. So okay. I can put you in products from JP Morgan, from Morgan Stanley, if indeed those are the best products for you. So okay. Ask Edward Jones if they have an open platform.
Okay.
Because if they do, then you shouldn't be in all Edward Jones products. I got to believe there's something better. There's one of them, right? Has a better. So ask that question. Then, like I was just saying, you need a financial plan. I am like, I love these things. I get all dorky about them, but you just get to see everything in one space. And like you're saying, then someone can say to you, okay, you have all the insurances lined up. This is great, but do we have, retirement? What are we doing for that? Or what are we doing for the dream house that you want to buy in Hawaii on a golf course? What are we doing for all those things? And then you start to be able to tell the story, figure out your story, I should say, and then you fill in the gaps. So find out if they have an open platform. Okay. If they don't, then I do think it's a fair question to ask around. And then all that stuff can be put under one roof. Like the insurance could be held in one place. Because I get that too. You want to open your computer one day and see everything.
Exactly.
Right? And that's really helpful too, to be able to hand that down and to say, then the kids know, and I get that, the simplicity of it. So I would start with them. And then feel free. I'm happy to guide you along the way, and you could happy to help you with that.
And one quick other question with the financial plan piece of it, is that something you do? And if so, is it as a consultant or is it through UBS?
So I do it through UBS.
Okay.
And so there's no fee. There would be no fee from me to do that. I wouldn't charge you for that. So it's something, I think, like I said, everyone should go through that exercise at one point in life. And then when you have it, it's so easy to update it, right?
Yes.
I did a plan with 2 kids. Now I have 4. We got to figure that out. What are we doing with college? Like, it's just easy once you just need that base.
I want to interject. Sorry. And when you get a financial planner, have that person's name and number in your phone, and don't only know that person as a name and a phone number. build a relationship with that person. Make sure you are meeting that person quarterly. I love quarterly, if twice a year or at least once a year. What you don't want to have are people you have no idea who they are, because you want to be able to call this person at any time to explain things, and just continue to educate yourself on what's going on out there. It was really funny. I got a call. I have a life insurance policy that's over 20 years old, and I wouldn't have done anything with it anyways, but I could tell there was a new kid on the block, and, you know, I got a call and he introduced himself, you know, and so I'm thinking to myself, you know, I didn't want to be rude or anything, but I'm like, you folks haven't called me in 20 years.
Right. And now you're trying to sell me something. 100%. So I say, I was moving because I have this like weird, it's like Halloween glare. I look like I'm scary. The sun's coming in though. I say loosely, you should be able to have a glass of wine or want to have a glass of wine with your advisor. You know, I'm Sicilian, like consigliere. You should call me or whoever you work with, right? The first time you find out you're pregnant, you're selling your house, you want to invest in some crazy ass property in Las Vegas. Like, I want to be your first call, and we should have that kind of relationship that you can call me. People text me all the time, for better or for worse. People text me all the time. Sadly, at all hours of the night now, thanks to COVID. But you should have that kind of open relationship with your advisor. So, Jean Marie, you make a great point.
All right, next question. We got 4 more minutes. Come on, ask away. Tracy's our expert.
And look, if you think of anything later, she put my email up, just reach out, send me an email. You have my cell, that was my cell phone. So shoot me a text. I'm happy to brainstorm. I like talking about this stuff. It feels really good when you can plan. You know, women, and again, I keep saying women, because there's a gentleman named Michael on. Women are planners.
That's my boss.
There you go. We like to plan. We like to know. It's very hard. Like, it frustrates me sometimes when the plan falls apart, you know? And so I get it. I get it.
And I'm going to interject again, because I know there are people on this call, and they won't say it, but I know there's many people on this call that are absolutely overwhelmed with the information that was just presented to them. So little tiny bites, little tiny bites. So whether you take out a planner or a paper calendar, a Todoist app, I don't care what you use for extended memory, but what I would highly suggest is that at least once a week, you put a tiny little financial goal down. Just because I don't want you to get overwhelmed with this, you know, whatever small thing that might be. This week might be literally call the insurance company to find out, you know, if you have an insurance policy, what your death benefit is, if your beneficiaries are updated, if there's any cash surrender value, et cetera, one little thing each week. You know, at the end of the month, you've done 4 things, you know, at the end of the year, maybe everything is pretty much in order for yourself. So whatever that is for you.
It's a great point. And I would say that if I could give homework, and I've said this time and time again, if you are not the person who's solely responsible for the financial decisions, go find out what the usernames and passwords are of all those accounts right now. And then you'll have all that information ready for Deb next month. But so many times we don't have access, we don't know, we abdicate. Usernames and passwords, that's all you, like, that would be my homework assignment if you could leave with one thing today, because it's sad. And again, because of compliance, super hard to get in this stuff. If you're not on the list, if you don't know the password, how are you going to prove yourself that you truly, it's a lot. So ask.
Yeah. And don't ever be embarrassed about asking. You know, everybody has a different household. Everybody plays different roles in their relationships, whether that's with a spouse, a partner, et cetera, et cetera. And we get used to our roles and routines, and it's kind of nice. Oh, I don't have to worry about the bills. He does the bills. Oh, I don't have to worry about the bills. She does the bills. But, you know, it's not a matter of if something happens, it's a matter of when something happens. And I had a situation early in my marriage where my husband got very, very ill, and he was in the hospital. They couldn't figure out his diagnosis. He was about to be put on the liver transplant list. And what I learned when he was sitting in the hospital bed and really couldn't talk to me, and I had 2 little kids, was, holy crap, I know how to pay the bills, but I don't know where the money is. I don't know where it is. I don't know how to move it around. And the first thing I did when he got out of that hospital is I sat down with him and a pen and a paper, and I'm like, you got to tell me everything right now.
Oh, good for you.
So I got to know, and you got to know. So,
and I'll say, because I know it's 1 o'clock, the last thing, I've met women along the way who say, I'm in a rotten marriage, but I won't leave because I don't know how to do that stuff. That's like, stab me in the heart. I don't want to hear that. You can do it. Everyone can do it. And knowing and learning when times are good, not that I wish divorce on anyone, but knowing and asking questions when times are good is so much easier than when times are bad. So get all that stuff. You can do it. And do not stay in a bad marriage because you can't figure out how to pay a bill. That is crazy. So I will say all the more, that stuff's super important.
awesome. Well, thank you very much, Tracy, for being our guest speaker this month. It was fabulous. I hope everybody else thought it was fabulous. I loved it. And we hope you'll all join us on November 16th when Deborah Davis, our very own Deborah Davis, does her tech talk on using passwords with LastPass, and right in time before your holiday shopping. All right, so 12:30, same bat channel, same bat time. Make sure you register. All right, night all.
So great. Thanks for the opportunity, Jean Marie.
Remember, if you want to see more videos on my organizing, productivity, and decluttering topics, hit the subscribe button and you'll be alerted when the next one is ready.